In the end, Eddie might just be the one who ends up purifying Venom.
Oh, that is terrifying. What the?
Let's go.
What is up, you guys? I'm Charmx. Today I'm going to be reacting to Film Theory, Venom is the Victim, Spider-Man by the Film Theorist. Now I'm intrigued to find out why Venom is the victim, and hopefully this is going to be a really good video. Hopefully it's better than actual Venom itself, because if you guys aren't aware, Venom was actually, it's not doing so well rating-wise. But anyway, with that being said, the original link's in the description. Make sure you guys go subscribe to the Film Theorist. Without any further ado, let's begin.
Sure, the Venom movie's tagline is, "The world has enough superheroes," because this powerful alien symbiote appears to be an evil, man-eating menace. But have you ever stopped to consider that Venom may actually be the victim in all of this? Give me 15 minutes, or honestly, whatever length this video winds up being. Stick around, because I think I'm gonna be able to change your mind.
I don't doubt it. Matt normally is as good at persuasion and changing my mind regarding certain subjects. So let's see if Matt can change my mind here. I don't know. I think Venom's just awesome either way. So I don't know. He's like the coolest villain or superhero, whatever the case is. He looks awesome. He's friggin' awesome.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that's cringier than a Peter Parker dance break.
And that's hard to beat.
Okay, maybe not that cringy, but close. Today we're talking about Venom, one of Spider-Man's most popular villains, because let's face it, who doesn't love themselves a dark doppelganger storyline, am I right? For those of you who need the quick rundown, Venom is one of several alien symbiotes to go around possessing human hosts in the Spider-Verse, giving him special abilities like shape-shifting, increased strength, and abnormally long tongues.
But he looks so awesome, though. He looks so awesome. I love it. He would make a good, was it Gene Simmons from Kiss? The
new movie, journalist Eddie Brock is investigating the Life Foundation, an organization whose experiments with the symbiotes are a whole lot more sinister than their super generic name implies. When the investigation goes awry, Eddie's body merges with the symbiote, unleashing Venom, and his ultimate ability, awkward one-liners.
Rolling down the street like a bird.
A true poet.
In the wind.
In all seriousness, though, there's an
It's an alien. You expect it not to be awkward?
interesting side to Venom that no one has ever really stopped to consider, that he's the victim in all of this. And I don't mean that in the big bad evil science corporation did experiments on him or anything like that. I mean that for all the death and destruction that Venom may bring, the symbiote is really just a lost, confused, and scared entity. That Eddie Brock might be the thing that's actually infecting it. But to truly understand why, we first
Oh, the plot thickens. The plot thickens.
have to understand the nature of parasites. You see, once you strip away all the alien goo nonsense, Venom is the dictionary definition of a parasite.
I have a parasite.
An organism that lives in or on another organism, its host, and derives nutrients at the host's expense. Take, for instance, the case of the parasitic wasp and the orb-weaving spider, both of which live in Japan. The female wasp drops her eggs onto the back of the spider, which and then become a larva.
Oh, no. I know what happens next. Oh, frig, that's so nasty. If you guys don't know what bot flies are, look them up. Actually, you might not want to look them up. But this reminds me of bot flies. And oh my... Oh, frig, no.
Larval form, the baby wasp takes control over the spider, causing it to build a web that is nearly 3 times stronger than any web the spider would ever build for itself in its normal life. It sounds a lot like Venom, and that increased strength he gives to his host bodies.
This feels good. It amplifies characteristics of its host.
It amplifies characteristics of its host. So if the host for Venom, what's his name, Eddie? If he's secretly a villain or, you know, has a lot of negative characteristics, it would just enhance that, right? Oh, I see what Matt's getting at.
The reason they do this is that the larva will soon be helpless in a cocoon and needs a stronger web to protect it. A web that's heavier duty than what a spider would typically build. Once that web is built, the spider host is killed off. It's no longer useful.
My wife left me because she said I was no longer useful.
Man, just like a parasite. Always about that web bam, thank you ma'am. But for as similar as a spider parasite might be to Venom, there's actually a better fit when it comes to the real world. Toxoplasmosis gondii, which I've talked about very briefly years ago in one of the earliest and cringiest episodes of Game Theory.
That worked.
The cringe is real.
Basically, toxoplasmosis hijacks the brain of a rat, forcing it to hide out in the open where it can be found and eaten by cats. Bad news for the rat, but great news for the parasite, because once it's inside the cat's stomach, it can morph into a cat-compatible form and then also reproduce inside the cat's digestive system. It gets pooped back out by the cat and gets into the water supply, where it's once again consumed by the rats.
Freaking, nature is scary. I think Family Guy said it best, you know?
Damn, nature, you scary.
It's like a really gross version of the circle of life. Everything the poop touches will be your home. Now, you'd be totally forgiven if none of that immediately reminds you of Venom, but in both cases, we're presented with a parasite who's
Yeah, and Venom's like a parasite, right? Basically. It enhances the characteristics of the host. And if Venom's host is a negative person, I guess, then, you know, with the parasite, he's gonna be really negative. So does that mean if the person was like a really go-lucky good person, that would then turn Venom into a superhero? Because then he would be doing good things because that'd be the characteristics of the host? There's another idea for you, Matt.
behavior and abilities change based on the thing it's infecting. Symbiotes affect Peter Parker and Eddie Brock and Cletus Cassidy very differently, just like toxoplasmosis changes tactics depending on whether it's inside of a cat, or inside of a rat, or even inside of a human.
Uh-oh, this calls for some Shane Dawson dramatic drop sound effects. Hit it, big boy.
Or even inside of a human. You see, toxoplasmosis can also affect humans. Now, I'm not gonna say it's gonna cause you to lay down in Mr. Fluffy's food dish in the hopes of him one day eating you, but studies have shown that this could have other effects on the human brain. Specifically, it might be linked to an increased risk of schizophrenia. According to researchers at the Stanley Medical Research.
Yeah, I have heard of this toxoplasmosis, whatever it is, with cats going to humans. So I wonder if every crazy cat lady who has like 5 cats or something, you know, has it.
Institute.
That would explain her being crazy, right? Maybe part of what the toxic plasmosis or whatever it is does is make the people want to get more cats.
Quote, cat ownership in childhood has now been reported in 3 studies to be significantly more common in families in which their child is later diagnosed with schizophrenia or another serious mental illness, end quote. Furthermore, the researchers' finding, quote again, suggests that cat ownership in childhood is significantly more common in families in which the child later becomes seriously mentally ill, end quote. Further stating that
That's crazy, I didn't know it was that bad. Oh my goodness.
an explanatory mechanism may be Toxoplasma gondii. Now, before everyone rushes
Toxoplasma gondii. Was I saying plasmosis or something? I don't know, but you know what I meant. Yeah, but I wasn't aware it was that bad. That like there's a huge percentage of people, or kids specifically, that growing up, if they have cats, they have a higher chance of having like schizophrenia or something.
is off to put Mr. Fluffy up for adoption, I'd like to point out that there are more than 40 million people in the US who are currently suspected to be infected with the toxoplasmosis
40 million? What's that like? I think that's like what? That's a little over 10%?
parasite, and only a teeny tiny fraction of those are diagnosed with full-blown schizophrenia. Anyway, the link between toxoplasma and schizophrenia is really interesting, because in a lot of ways it parallels Eddie Brock's relationship with the Venom parasite. For instance, one of the main symptoms of both schizophrenia and the symbiote is psychosis, a failure to understand reality and a higher propensity for
Okay, wait, so you're saying Venom, who is like basically a parasite, right? Is meant for a different animal, not humans, basically? So that when Venom does attach to a human or whatever, you get all these negative side effects that you wouldn't normally get. I think I get what Matt's trying to get across, but maybe that Eddie is really just an evil or a really negative person, right? And Venom just enhances those characteristics.
for hallucinations. And this is something that is immediately apparent from the trailer of the new movie. In that trailer, Eddie looks into a car window and sees the reflection of Venom staring back at him. This should be physically impossible. The shot is showing us things as Eddie sees them.
So it's all in his head.
In this case, he's seeing things that aren't really there. Eddie is also prone to auditory hallucinations, hearing a voice call his name.
Eddie.
Venom's voice commending him,
Outstanding.
etc. Now wait.
Yeah, so that would be that is like schizophrenia, right? That's like almost the textbook definition of schizophrenia. I think Matt has a really good case
I hear you saying that isn't a hallucination. Venom is literally talking to him. And sure, that's true, but it is all still happening in his head. That conversation with Venom is the textbook definition of auditory hallucination.
Yeah.
And one of the clearest signs that Eddie might be headed off to schizophrenia. But why does any of this matter? I mean, sure, Venom and toxoplasmosis might share some similarities, but even I
Well, I want to know what is Venom meant for originally, right? Like, what is the Venom as a parasite? What is his ideal host? Since, you know, toxic Gandhi or whatever the frig it's called for cats is meant for rats and cats, not meant for humans. But when it does mix with humans, then the people get schizophrenia. Is Venom the same, or Venom's meant for a different alien, rat or cat? But when it mixes with humans, then you get schizophrenia? Like, you understand?
with my over-the-top theories won't go so far as to say that the symbiote is just a hyper-evolved form of this cat parasite. I don't need another Deadpool as Ernest Hemingway moment on my hands. No, the reason I bring up the parallels here is that whether we're talking about parasitic wasps, parasites that warp rat brains, or
Wow, you took forever to get that joke. You must be down to the last few brain cells you have.
fictional alien parasites, one thing connects all of them: a need for survival. It's easy to forget, but parasites are fighting for survival just like any other living creature, and they're using whatever techniques that they have at their disposal. It's why the wasp gets the spider to build a stronger web, so it can reproduce. It's why toxoplasma forces the rat to get eaten, so it can
Oh, it is toxoplasma. I don't know. I think I've been saying something there wrong the whole time. Toxic Gandhi.
reproduce inside of the cat's stomach. But now, take a moment to look at Venom's behavior. We see him presumably eat a guy in the middle of a convenience store and then just leave a witness. If you need to eat a human to survive, why wouldn't you just track down victims to eat in, I don't know, dark, secluded alleyways instead of, I don't know, the middle of the street where 6 people, yes, 6 people, count them, are watching, one of whom appears to be recording the whole thing on a cell phone. Behaviors like this
The other person's on the phone with, like, the cops or something, right?
result in Eddie, and by proxy Venom, repeatedly getting attacked by thugs, having to run away, having to fight for their lives. In Spider-Man 3, Venom, being evil, gets himself the worst enemy possible, Spider-Man. Any way you slice it, this behavior is simply not conducive to helping Venom survive. It is instead doing the exact opposite and putting him at active risk.
So you're saying that he's not meant for humans because it's not helping his survival?
So what is really going on here? Well, it's all explained by toxoplasmosis.
Toxic Gandhi.
You see, changing rats' behavior so that they get eaten by cats helps the toxoplasma survive and reproduce. Inducing psychosis in humans, however, does none of those things. It is a loss for the human, who starts to develop mental issues, but it's also a loss for the toxoplasma, who can't move on from the human to the cat's digestive tract and reproduce because, well, there just aren't that many man-eating cats out there. The problem is toxoplasma didn't evolve to exist in humans. It evolved
So I think I'm right assuming that what Matt's saying is that Venom isn't meant for humans.
for the cat-rat style of life. The
Yeah.
fact that it also happens to affect humans is entirely accidental, an unintended side effect. This is what seems to be happening in the case of the symbiotes. We're so used to seeing Venom and other symbiotes like Carnage and Scream attaching to human hosts that you might make the mistake of assuming that the symbiotes naturally exist to bond with humans.
Yeah, I was right. So Venom's not meant for humans.
Your last couple brain cells are really putting in work.
But that's not the case at all. Canonically speaking, the symbiotes were originally created by the primordial deity Null in order to slaughter the Celestials, basically space gods from the beginning of time. You remember
Oh. Yeah, so this explains everything. Matt's right. But then again, you're still saying that Venom is a victim, which I guess that can be true, but he's also just as much of a victim as Eddie is, right?
Nowhere from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, how it's in the shape of a head? Well, yeah, in the comics, that's technically a Celestial's severed head where people are parking their boats.
Marvel is very family friendly.
Anyway, it shouldn't come as a big surprise that an organism created in a separate part of the galaxy with the intent of bonding with space G's-Eye would probably experience unintended side effects when trying to bond with a human host. We often see the Venom symbiote as something who takes control of humans, but the link works both ways. Though the symbiotes were originally created with evil intentions, one of the quirks of their programming is that they
enhance the characteristics of the host?
Take on some attributes of their host. In many cases, symbiotes feel that their existence has no meaning, and one of the reasons they bond with a host is to give their lives a simple purpose.
What is my purpose?
You pass butter.
This is one of the reasons why when Venom first bonded with Peter Parker in the comics, the thing it did was to go out at night and fight crime. The meaning for its own existence came from Peter Parker, who spends most of his time fighting crime. However, this had an unintended side effect. The symbiotes who had bonded with benevolent hosts infected the symbiotic hive mind with traits such as nobility and honor. The good symbiotes eventually rebelled against Null and imprisoned him at the center of their artificial
Yeah, so I guess Venom is a victim to Eddie. But, you know, if Eddie was a good person or, you know, had a lot of good characteristics and whatnot, then Venom would be good. And therefore, Venom would go out and do good things, right? But since Eddie has, I guess, a lot more darker traits, that makes Venom, you know, bad and a villain, right?
Planet in the Andromeda Galaxy, eventually creating the agents of the cosmos as a force not of chaos, but for good. Venom is on an unfamiliar planet fighting for his own survival, and one of the only weapons he has at his disposal is imperfect mankind. He's scared, he's threatened, and he's doing his best to survive. The trailer for Venom seems to be trying to sell us on the idea that Venom is the one who's corrupting Eddie Brock. But who knows? In the end, Eddie might just be the one who ends up purifying Venom.
Oh, that is terrifying. What the? Oh, that's definitely the thumbnail. What the frig? This is legit nightmare fuel. But yeah, I guess I was right in assuming that's what Matt was trying to get at.
But hey, that's just a theory.
Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. This was really well done, and I think Matt is right in assuming that, you know, since Venom is basically acting as a parasite, that one, he isn't meant for humans, which, I mean, there's all that proof to back up. So yeah, he is right there, and that, you know, if Eddie had good characteristics in that, you know, Venom might have been a superhero, but I guess Eddie has, you know, a lot more negative characteristics, and that in turn makes Venom more of a villain. But anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Possibly share a friend. If you do, subscribe to the family. Also, make sure you guys go subscribe to the Film Theorist. I'll link to the description, and I'll see you guys next time. Boop.